Hello there.
General Kenobi.
So, Rise of the Skywalker. It was released about 2 weeks ago now, and it concluded the Skywalker chronology. But the final scene left some questions to be asked. That's right, the yellow lightsaber. This is the first ever yellow lightsaber to make it into live action. However, it's not the first in the Star Wars canon. Before I go into detail on what the lightsaber could mean, I'm going to go into more detail of its origins. So get comfortable. The yellow lightsaber was first introduced in 2008 in the now not canon novel and game The Force Unleashed, which had the input of none other than George Lucas himself. The first canon appearance, however, was in the Clone Wars TV show in the episode The Wrong Jedi, which was released 5 years later in 2013. In that episode, the yellow lightsabers were double-bladed pikes used by the Jedi Temple Guards. The yellow lightsaber would return a few times before Rise of Skywalker, but not many. So now we know the history, let's dive into what the lightsaber potentially means. Chewie, jump to lightspeed. As I've already mentioned them, I'm going to start with the Jedi Temple Guards. Jedi Temple Guards were the security force of the Jedi, and with the duty to protect the Coruscant Jedi Temple. They were ordinary Jedi Knights pulled away from the ranks to protect the temple. It was a high commitment and calling. It meant being anonymous and having absolute emotional detachment. Notice how the role of a Jedi Temple Guard is to protect the Jedi Temple, which separates them from normal Jedi Knights. This suggests that the lightsaber could show the wielder to be a protector, but in a different sense that a blue lightsaber Jedi is. Yellow lightsaber wielding Jedi could be strong with the Force too, bringing them close to green lightsaber Jedi too. Jedi Temple Guardians are pulled from the ranks of Jedi Knights, meaning that they could potentially be either green lightsabered or blue originally. The most notable Jedi Guard is the Grand Inquisitor, who pledged himself to the dark side after Order 66. Another Jedi in canon who has wielded a yellow lightsaber is Master Tosan. Tosan was once a Jedi Guardian, meaning that so far every yellow lightsaber Jedi has been a Guardian. She is described to be tenacious, meaning tender and to keep a firm hold of something, clinging or adhering closely. I'm sure you would agree that links to being protective, supporting the idea that the yellow lightsaber is the lightsaber of the protector. Moving on now, I'm going to move on to the first non-Jedi Guardian canon character who has wielded a yellow lightsaber, Asajj Ventress. She didn't make the lightsaber herself, instead she bought it from the black market on Coruscant. But this doesn't mean that we can't analyse her character. She came into possession of the yellow lightsaber as a bounty hunter, but when she was younger and a Padawan to Kai Narek, a Jedi fighting off pirate marauders, and was stuck on Ratatak, they fought together protecting the locals and become heroes. Unfortunately, this ended with the death of Kai Narek, leading to Ventress's turn to the dark side. Later, she moved into a protecting role again, helping Ahsoka Tano when she was wrongly convicted for the bombing of the Jedi Temple. Finally, we see her protecting with her yellow lightsaber in the novel Dark Disciple, where she goes after Count Dooku with Quinlan Vos. Stopping Dooku could count as protecting, as it would save many lives. But later Ventress shows herself to be an even greater protector by sacrificing herself for Quinlan Vos. However, this information may not be relevant as the lightsaber wasn't made by Ventress, but Ball, even though the Jedi Temple Guards didn't make their lightsabers either. But they're more necessary as they are the main source of the lightsaber. So, from this information, there is evidence to say that the yellow lightsabers are a sign of a protector. The Jedi Guards protect the temple. Tosin liked to keep hold of things and protect them, and Ventress protected throughout her life, eventually dying to save Quinlan Vos. Next, we'll look to see if Rey can be classified as a protector throughout the sequel trilogy. We know she's strong with the Force and she classifies as a blue lightsaber and a green lightsaber throughout just her general actions as a Jedi. But we're going to see if she classifies specifically as a protector, like the gods. Hey, BB-8, what do you think of the theory so far? So, does Rey fit into the role of protector? Let's find out. I'll start with The Force Awakens, as it is the first in the trilogy. On Jakku we meet Rey, who at the time is a scavenger. The first big thing we see her do is free BB-8 from being taken for parts. This instantly shows her as a protector, as she protects BB-8 throughout the movie. One instance was accidental, when she was running away from the First Order on Takonda, as when Kylo Ren found her, he knew that she had seen the map, and therefore he didn't need BB-8. This could be the Force, or just a coincidence. In the next movie, The Last Jedi, Rey is mostly alone with Luke, being trained, but she does show protection when she rushes in to save the Resistance on Crait. Her main role in the battle is to pick up the Resistance and save them, protect them from the First Order. Finally, in the last movie, Rise of Skywalker, we see that the Resistance fighters Poe, Finn, C-3PO, and Chewie really need Rey's help in their missions, showing her role of protecting. Also, when they get sucked into a cave through sinking sand, it is Rey who gets everyone out and protects them from death in the cave and the snake monster, which she also protects by healing. After this, she runs after Kylo, which could also be seen as protecting the crew, as she tries to force pull Chewbacca back towards the ground to protect him. Throughout the movie, she protects the group. In the final battle, she also protects Kylo, giving up one of her lightsabers, and she protects the whole Resistance fleet and everyone else by attacking the Emperor and stopping him from firing his lightning at them. Also, she protects the whole universe from the reign of the Final Order by killing Palpatine. Wait a minute. They're both Palpatine! Anyway, she protects the whole universe by killing the Emperor, Sheev Palpatine, who finally has proper eyes at that point. Phew. This is all clear evidence that Rey has been a protector throughout the movies, and concludes the theory on the true reason about the mysterious yellow lightsaber. So I'm going to leave on a final thought. Could she still be protecting at the end of the movie? She does bury the Skywalker lightsabers, protecting them, and the Resistance is only small. Also, there is no one leading the galaxy, and Exegol is now accessible to everyone, as Rey showed everyone the path into the place of the Sith. The Death Star wasn't destroyed, and somehow erosion doesn't work, so we can't assume that Exegol was fully destroyed. Despite the fact that Rise of the Skywalker concludes the Skywalker saga, it definitely can be added to in the future, and I, for one, really want to see a live-action yellow lightsaber. It's a great theory from Jonathan. Nobody will believe me as I didn't create a theory, but I did actually call the yellow lightsaber. However, looking at this lightsaber from a technical standpoint, I believe this was a clever lighting trick used by J.J. Abrams. You may not have noticed, but across the sequel trilogy, different colours have been emphasised in each movie. In The Force Awakens, this was yellow. In The Last Jedi, this was red. And in The Rise of Skywalker, this was yellow. No, actually blue. But I can explain why the yellow lightsaber was used. The Rise of Skywalker actually ends with a yellow palette, and so a yellow lightsaber suits this theme.
I believe this is to remind the viewer of The Force Awakens and the journey and character completion of Rey.
I don't like sand.
But anyway, on to my part of the video essay.
Video essay?
Yes,
What's that?
basically an analysis on something which you write a script on and create a video.
You wanna write an essay in the Christmas holidays?
Yes, so, on to the video essay. But first, before the main focus of my segment, I'm going to comment on the film and certain aspects of it. After watching The Rise of Skywalker, which I enjoyed, I had two main feelings: satisfaction and disappointment. I thought a lot of things were good, however in places, the making and the actual film felt rushed, which may have been due to the time limit given. Personally, I believe that it's a bad decision to set a specific time limit. If you're asking me, I believe instead of a time limit, they should have used the idea of Kylo Ren chasing Rey as the reason for the speed of the film and the events happening. So, the opening crawl. Well, to be honest, I found it disappointing. First of all, the first sentence, the dead speak. I understand the reference to the Phantom Menace, which says war. However, I did not like this. I felt it didn't fit, and with the rest of the crawl, I don't think it was written well. Plus, anyone who's watched the video will probably agree that the opening crawl was too short. How would I have improved this? I would tell the audience what the rebels are doing, then implicitly explain the Emperor is alive on Exegol, and tell everyone Kylo is searching for a Sith Wayfinder. I believe this would have worked much better, but I'm no professional.
It's a trap!
What was Finn going to tell Rey? Well, I think someone forgot to put the end of this setup in the movie, despite mentioning it multiple times. Rest assured, I have the answer though. Don't worry, of course JJ wanted to leave it till after the first screening at the premiere to explain this. Finn was trying to say he was force sensitive. As you may know, the inspirational Carrie Fisher sadly died on the 27th of December 2016, just over 3 years ago. However, in The Rise of Skywalker, Leia was still in it and still played by Carrie Fisher. I felt that in The Rise of Skywalker, the character of Leia was executed well, and I believe it was more effective and more respectful the way they brought Leia back using archive footage, rather than the way they did it in Rogue One, and I thought it was a great tribute to Carrie Fisher.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Fan service. There was a lot of fan service. Some of this included Leia's lightsaber, Luke lifting the X-Wing, Lando, Chewie's medal, and Tatooine. I enjoyed all of these callbacks, although Luke lifting the X-Wing did feel a bit false, as people were upset they didn't happen in The Last Jedi.
Another happy landing.
Rey's a Palpatine. Well, probably unlike most people, I didn't think this was much of a surprise. This was probably because of theories on Rey's heritage. One particular one shows a breakdown of Rey's fight style in The Force Awakens, and shows how it was quite similar to Palpatine's, using this standard move.
Clunky.
I think this movie confirmed a well-known Star Wars fact. Anyone who falls down a large pit will survive. Darth Maul, yup. Luke, with a hand from his friends. Ben, in this movie, and the Emperor, kind of.
Well, almost anyone.
So, the main man himself, Sheev, is back. It was a pleasure seeing Ian McDiarmid come back, even though he did look a bit weird in this movie. Though I do understand why he looked this way.
Seen this raw strength only once before.
What's with all of the new Force abilities? The sequels are starting to look like a different franchise now. To be honest, I'm not that bothered by this. Just from a lore perspective, we're supposed to believe that years worth of Jedi couldn't do these things, but Rey and Ben can. Specifically, the Force teleportation. We're supposed to believe that this came out of nowhere. What connection do Ben and Rey have that's any different to any other Jedi in existence? They're not even siblings.
Do it.
Anyway, like I said before, I enjoyed watching Endgame. Rise of Skywalker. Those two films both have a final battle in which, just as hope is lost, thousands of people come in to save the day. They both use an excess of CGI, and only two main characters die. Black Widow and Iron Man. Leia and Ben. What about when Rey says, "I am Iron Man"? Wait. How's Stranger Things going to end? Like this?
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
I just realised I'm doing this video like an exploding extract.
Never tell me the odds.
Now to talk about what my segment is actually supposed to be about. The scene where Ben has been pushed away and Rey is laying on the ground, listens to some voices and kills Palpatine. I actually thought this was a good scene and loved the finality of its end. It made me truly believe that Palpatine couldn't come back, which for someone who's escaped death before, that's a hard feat. One part of this scene which I loved was the dead Jedi speaking to Rey. I also enjoyed hearing Alec Guinness's voice speaking in this scene. But the best part of this scene is hearing Anakin's voice. Let me explain why. The whole of the prequels and the originals carries Anakin's story of struggle, the dark side and redemption. The growth of Palpatine and fall. Anyway, there is a deep connection between Palpatine and Anakin. So, for a satisfying ending to the nonology, Anakin needs to directly or indirectly cause the death of Palpatine. End Palpatine, as he can escape death now. This is why I was so pleased Anakin was there and helped kill Palpatine. Even though
Palpatine
could have just stopped shooting his lightning and let Rey stand there like a wally. Seriously, he fell for it again. However, there are some improvements I believe would have improved this scene, hence why they're called improvements. Okay, so picture this. Rey has had her pep talk from all of the Jedi, and now we see the scene with the camera behind the figure of the Emperor, who is laughing while the crowd chants. In this scene, the camera would be angled looking down upon Rey to make her seem powerless and make it seem like there is no hope. She stands up and the camera pans behind her, showing the Emperor towering over her. The camera cuts to the face of Rey with the room behind. Not in the crowd, but just behind Rey, slowly the Force ghosts of Luke, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Yoda and Leia would appear. This could include some of the people from the voices. However, creating Ahsoka may be difficult and disappointing for fans. Next, the crowd starts to glow blue as hundreds of Jedi fill the seats. Maybe at the front of the rows we could have noticeable Jedi such as Yarael Pooth. Before I move on to the next part, I do understand that most of the Jedi in the crowd would not have trained for or mastered the ability of forming a Force ghost. However, I believe the effect of this scene would overpower this. Plus, why not add another ability to the trilogy anyway? When Rey communicates to all of the dead Jedi, she can conjure Force ghosts. Plus, it's not that far-fetched. She's already talking to every Jedi who's ever died. Anyway, this will be followed by a battle of Palpatine against Rey, in which, as each overpowers the other in certain points of the battle, the perspective of the background changes to swap between the Sith crowd and the Jedi Force Ghost. When the Emperor dies, all of the Force Ghosts would explode in one Force explosion, and then the camera would show Rey fall backwards and die like she does in the movie.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
So, am I the only one who's going to point out that Rey lies at the end of the movie? She says, "I am all of the Jedi," which, at that point, we see that to be true. But afterwards, we find out Ben is alive. Henceforth, she's every Jedi apart from Ben Solo. I am all of the Jedi, except Ben Solo. No, it doesn't have the same ring to it.